Hi guys, this is the more complicated Excel video. So anyway, just a little brief introduction. I have a number of red M&Ms, number of blue M&Ms in 3 different bags. And I'm going to show you how to do a couple of functions with this. And let's say that I want the sum of the red M&Ms. And so what I'm going to do is, instead of adding these by hand or with a pen and paper, I can very easily click on the sums, click on B6, which is the sum cell of that column, and say equals, and I'll type in sum, open parenthesis, of B3 through B5. I'm going to click on B3 and hold till B5, and then let go, and I'll see that I've selected that by the line, and I'll hit an end parenthesis and then hit enter. Now it's very important that you make sure you start off with the equal sign, otherwise you're going to error message. So anyway, so the sum of that is 41. That's how many red M&Ms I have. Now if I want to find out blue M&Ms, I can also do the same thing. I can do equals sum of C3 through C5, and then of course, oops, I think I forgot to put an end parenthesis there. So I'll get that message if I do mess up, and it'll pretty much correct it for you. Or another thing I can do is use the fill function, where I click on the sum of the red M&Ms B6, and in the right hand corner, bottom right hand corner of my sum cell, there's a little box. I'm going to click and hold that little box and drag it over to C6, which is the sum of the blue M&Ms, and it'll do the same exact thing. I'll just copy that function. So that's the sum and fill function. Now if I want to take the average, of the red M&Ms, I'll type in, once again, start with equals, A-V-E-R-A-G-E, spell out average, open parenthesis, and I want the average of these three, and so that'll be 13.66667, and I'll just fill that function over to the next and get 22.333. Now remember, I can also format the cells. If I highlight those two cells, right click, format cells, let's say I want 2 decimal places, I'll go to number, 2 decimal places, hit OK, and that'll give me 2 decimal places in the average. Let's say I want to add all the amount of M&Ms in bag 1 to get a total amount. So here I'll put a total amount of M&Ms per bag. So in bag 1 I have 13 and 23. If I want to enter this as a function, I'm going to broaden this cell a little bit. If I want to make a function, I'll do equals, and then what I'll do is I'll click on B3, which is the number of red in bag 1, and I'll type in plus C3, which is my bag of blue, and then hit enter, and that'll give me a total. And of course I can do the same thing for my other bags, or I can just fill down until bag 3 and it'll do the same exact thing. Now I can do the same thing with subtraction or addition or multiplication and whatever. So let me show you a multiplication example. I'll say, once again, start off with equals 13, and then I'll do an asterisk or a shift 8 times 23, and it'll multiply for me. And I can do that with any arithmetic function that I want. Now for science, I'm going to show you guys how to do a column graph using the data from the sample science data of the grain size. And so if I want to do a column graph, the first thing I need to do is go to Insert, in the Insert tab, Column, and I want to pick the first option, Column Graph. Now I get this blank chart area, right click, select Data. For my series, I just want the averages. So my series name is going to be average kernel size. My series value are these three. So I'm going to start at A8, click, drag over to C8 to get the averages. And so then I have my averages, and I hit OK. Everything's done for me, and I'll hit OK again, and there's my column graph, where in my x-axis I have my 3 varieties or companies, 1, 2, and 3, and on the y-axis I have my averages. I already made my series for me, average kernel size. I'm going to go and delete this legend. If I want to add titles, I have a chart title already, but if I want to do that anyway, I can go to Layout, Chart Title, and then Center Overlay. That's what that is. Now if I want to add axis titles, I'll go to Primary Horizontal Axis, Title, Title Below Axis, and we'll make this company 1, 2, and 3. And then for my vertical axis title, I'll do a rotated title so I can have flip like this, and we'll make this average size. And I'll hit enter. I can just click off the chart and boom, there's my column graph, nice and easy. Now let's pretend that I want to make a column graph for the data for the M&Ms just in my bag. So I have my bag, let's pretend I'm student 1, and I have this many red, yellow, green, orange, brown, blue M&Ms. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to insert, column, same thing, column, and here I have it all in all different colors. Now if I want these to reflect the colors, so let's say I want this one to be red, this one to be yellow, this one to be green, there's something I can do. Okay, so let's pretend I want to make the red column red, so I'll click on that column and I'll go to shape fill, and then I'll fill it in the red and it'll be red. Yellow, I'll click on just the yellow column, go to shape fill under format and pick yellow, and I'll have my yellow column. And I can do that for the rest of these to make the color match the color of M&M. So now we just did the one for just your bag. Now let's say I want one for every single student. What I can do, the easiest way to do this is just highlight everything, go to insert, column, and it'll have how many reds there are, and the category is student. So just to give you a bigger image, I'm going to go here. So the colors are the x-axis, and each student is a different series, and the number of M&Ms is the y-axis. That's a really easy thing to make. One more time, just highlight everything and go to insert, column, and then the first option. Now you have your series, you have your x-axis already labeled. Let's go and put a title on this. So I'm going to go click on the graph anywhere, go to layout, chart title, center overlay, and we'll say class comparison. And then if I want to add an axis title, the horizontal is already there, vertical, rotated, and we'll do number of M and M's. And then your graph is good to go. Now to make a basic pie graph, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to go to insert, pie, then the first option 2D pie, or I can even do a 3D pie chart. But to do a 2D pie, I'm going to click on 2D pie, I'm going to get a blank area, and then on the area I'm going to hit right click, select data, and my series name is going to be colors, and then my series values will be that, and then hit OK, and so I have this data, but it doesn't look very good. So maybe maybe a more viable option is just make it simple here. If we go to right, if I highlight all my data, including name, how many M&Ms of each color there are, and I go to insert, pie, and my first option will automatically just do it for me. So that's me, student 1, and all my colors are a different color, and they all show up here. And so if I want to format it to match, if I go to, let's say for example, my red is characterized, make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. I can pull this out, and this is my series for a certain, this is my series for my blue M&Ms, and so really I want them to be blue. So if I click on that, layout, format, shape fill, and I make it blue, then it'll make more sense. And same thing, so for example this series is for my, I think it looks like my orange, and so if I click on just that particular piece of the pie and I make it orange, I'm sorry, that's my red, so if I make it red, it'll turn red. And so this one's for my yellow, and so if I click on just the yellow portion, go to shape fill, yellow, And then I can do that for all my colors, and it'll end up looking something like this, where every color matches the color of M&M. The grade 8 science illustration asks to make a scatter plot. Now this is really easy to do. What I'm going to do is go to Insert, Scatter. Now make sure you do not pick a line graph. You want a scatter plot, you want the first option in that scatter plot, and it automatically just does it for you. And I'm going to get rid of the series. I'm going to click on my sample data absorbance, get rid of that. And it already has a title, but if it didn't, you'd go to Layout, Chart Title, Center Overlay, or Above Chart. Either way, it's above chart's better because it doesn't mess with the data. Make this a little bit bigger. Now, if I want to do a axis title, I'll do primary horizontal axis, title below axis, and this is going to be my concentration drop. So I'll just type that in, click off, and then I'll go back, axis title, primary horizontal, primary vertical, rotated title, so I can go that way, and this is going to be absorbance. So anyway, now I have my trend line. Now this will work if you have concentration first and absorbance second. If you have these flipped, your axes will be flipped, so make sure you have the right sequence. So now I'm going to get rid of all this because I want to show you guys something. If I get rid of my data, if I have to go to select data, and I want to remove this, hit OK. So to do it manually, I'll right click, I'll select the data, I'm going to add a series, and my X values for my series is my concentration. So look at what I did here. Under X values, I clicked on this little box, it took me here, and so I'm going to highlight concentration. Oops, I'm not sure what happened there. One more time, 0 to 0.6. And the Y values is my absorbance, so I'll go from 0 to 0.99. And one more time, I'll have my data correct. So hit OK. Now that's the way to make sure that you have the right data. Now, in order to add a trend line and an equation, I'm going to click on any data point, and I will right click, go to Add Trend Line. And under trend line options, I want to make sure I have a linear trend line. I want to display equation on chart. You can display r² value if you want. That's just how straight the line is, 1 being the straightest you can get. But anyway, it'll give me an equation, and that's how I'll be able to solve for any variable when given x or y. The 7th grade science asks you to run an ANOVA test. Now the thing is, Microsoft Excel doesn't come standard with the ANOVA package. So what I want to do is I want to click on the Windows button, I want to click on Excel Options, and under Add-ins on the left hand side, I want to click Analysis Tool Pack, and I want to click Go. And when I click Go, it'll give me an option. I want to check the Analysis Tool Pack, hit OK. So what I want to do here is I want to select my data. So Variety 1, Variety 2, Variety 3, I want to select all this data here, not my averages. Now, one more time, I've selected all this data, and under my Data tab here, under Analysis, I want to click Data Analysis. And what I want to do is I want to click on ANOVA Single Factor. And this ANOVA Single Factor, my input range is given to me. Well, I'll click the right-hand button, and I'll select this input range here, which is my data one more time. And one columns, I want alpha to be 0.05, which means I have a 95% confidence interval. And we'll go ahead and put it in a new worksheet. Leave everything the same, hit OK. And so on another sheet, remember now this is sheet 5, which is a whole different sheet, I'll get all these values. And so the main value I want to look at is my p-value. And since my p-value is less than 0.05, that means there is a difference. Like there is a difference somewhere in my data. One of these varieties, one of these companies has a significantly different kernel size than the other two. ANOVA doesn't tell you which one, unfortunately, but you know that there is a difference. DF is just degrees of freedom, your f-test, your p-value, you have critical. And also, there's a nice little summary for you that has the count, sum, average, and variance between the 3 companies. Now, we're going to utilize the variance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and go back to my original data, which is here, and I'll paste this here just for my sake. Now what I want to do is I want to figure out which company is significantly different in kernel size than the other companies, because the ANOVA test tells me that there is a difference. One of these companies is significantly different, or even more than one perhaps. And the way I do that is I use my variance. So let's say, for example, this company 1 is under column 1, so the variance for this company 1 is 1.483. So what I'll do is I'll add some error bars using the variance. So for example, here I'll click on the column for company 1, and I will go to layout, under layout, error bars, and more error bar options. Okay. And so under there I want to do a custom error bar, and I want to specify my values. My positive error value is the variance for that specific company. So column 1 has a variance of 1.483. Now my negative is the same exact thing, 1.483, and I can enter that by hand too if I want to. But I'll hit OK, I'll hit close, and it'll give me some error bars there. Now these error bars do not belong, so I want to get rid of these. Sorry, I'm going to do that one more time. Error bars just for this company, so make sure that the other two aren't highlighted, otherwise you'll get error bars on those two as well, which we don't want, which I did by accident there. But I want to click on just this one, error bars, more error bar options, custom, specify value, and that's going to be 1.483, and my negative is the exact same thing. Hit OK, close. So anyway, one more time to do the error bars. Click on the data point you want, so I want company 1 here, and I'm going to go to layout, error bar, more error bar options, and I'm going to do my custom, specify value. There's 1.483, and here the negative is the same, 1.483. Hit OK, and that'll give me that error bar there. And that's a pretty big variance, and you can see that. For my second one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure it's the second one only. More error bar options, custom, specify value, and for this one, it's my second company, so variety 2. Go there, hit OK. The negative error value is the same exact thing. Hit OK, and I'll get my error bar there. And for my third one, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'll get an error bar, more error bar options, custom, specify value. And this time it's company 3, so I'll do company 3. Hit OK. And now I have all my error bars, and you guys can see that these two error bars are within the same range. However, this one doesn't quite overlap with the difference with the variance in these two companies. So it seems like company 1 is, even though it has the greatest variance, it's still different than companies 2 and 3. And so that's why error bars can be useful, because ANOVA will tell you that there's a difference or there isn't a difference, and the error bars will kind of help you figure out where that difference is if you can't figure it out intuitively.